This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, President Donald Trump is getting closer to declaring a national emergency in order to get funding for his wall along the southern border. And CBN News has an exclusive interview with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo from Egypt as he talks about the contrast between President Trump's foreign policy and President Obama's. Plus, how you can control your health by actually controlling your own genes. And big news from the sports world, superstar Tim Tebow as he proposes to his girlfriend, a former Miss Universe. All those stories and much more are ahead today in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We want to begin, though, with the border wall budget battle, as it is now day 21 of the government shutdown and soon to become the longest in U.S. history. President Donald Trump and his supporters want a wall on the southern border with Mexico. And he told Fox News' Sean Hannity he is getting closer to declaring a national emergency in order to get it done.
5 seconds.
If we don't make a deal with Congress, most likely I will do that. I would actually say I would.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham told the president on Twitter, Mr. President, the Democrats are not working in good faith with you. Declare emergency, build the wall now. Pressure is mounting to find a way out of the 3-week impasse that has closed parts of the government. Some 800,000 workers, more than half of them still on the job, will miss their first paycheck today under this government shutdown. Senior international correspondent Dale Hurd is joining us now with more on this story. So when the government workers face losing their homes, going without food, how can President Trump win this battle?
Good question. I mean, we probably never had a president who was as good at getting his position across the media barrier to the American public. But it's going to be tough. It's going to get worse and worse. The media is going to escalate, the volume. And I don't think what the president has to worry about is his own party, the Republicans who don't have the spine that he does, who start to waver. And when he starts to really lose the support of his own party, that's when this thing, I think, goes bad.
Indeed. Any idea how much longer this could last?
Well, he canceled his trip to Davos, the World Economic Forum. That's in 10 days. That's in 2 weeks. I mean, if it goes that long, again, this could get really bad. The optics can be very difficult to control. So maybe he has a plan for how to manage this, but I see a potential looming public relations nightmare for the president if this continues.
Indeed, and he'll be watching this for a long time. Dale, thank you so much for your insight. Ruth Bader Ginsburg missed oral arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court for the first time in her 25 years of serving on the High Court. She's battled cancer and other health issues over the past few years, but never missed a session of the court. The Trump administration may soon be tasked with nominating a third Supreme Court justice if Ginsburg has to leave the court for health reasons. Politico reports the White House is taking the temperature on a possible short list of candidates. A source told Politico that they are, quote, doing it very quietly, of course, because the idea is not to be opportunistic, but just to be prepared. Experts point out it could be another brutal confirmation process with a third Trump nominee marking a significant shift on the court. The European Court of Human Rights has ruled against a German homeschool family in what is being called a huge setback for parents' rights. The court said that German authorities did not violate the Wunderlich family's fundamental rights when they took the couple's 4 children back in 2013 in a raid because the children were being homeschooled. The children were eventually returned. The family's attorney says Thursday's ruling disregards the rights of parents all over Europe.
The judgment has upheld the blanket ban that exists in Germany against homeschooling. It's a blanket ban that is backed up with criminal penalties. It really ignores the fundamental parental rights guaranteed by international treaties.
The Wunderlichs will appeal that decision to the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo used a Middle East platform to tell the world about the role America plans to play in the region. Following his speech, Pompeo gave CBN News an exclusive interview about why he believes America is back and it's a force for good. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us that interview from Cairo, Egypt.
Secretary of State Pompeo came to Cairo knowing many allies are concerned about President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria. Pompeo told CBN News the region will see a strong America pick up the foreign policy mantle it's historically held in the Mideast. We interviewed Pompeo at a newly dedicated church built by Egypt for Coptic Christians.
You just had a major speech about the Middle East, and 10 years ago another major speech was given here in Cairo. Would it be fair to say that your speech was America is back and it's a force for good?
Absolutely. I want people throughout the Middle East and the world to know that America's involvement in the Middle East is absolutely a force for good. We come here with no intention to oppress or to dominate, but rather to free, to create opportunities for every individual throughout the Middle East to live their life and to have the freedoms that we are all so blessed to have in the United States.
Pompeo's speech came 10 years after then-President Obama delivered his blueprint for the Middle East in Cairo.
He told you that the United States and the Muslim world needed, quote, a new beginning, end of quote. The results of these misjudgments have been dire.
The Secretary of State said that President Obama's timid, hesitant, and apologetic policy allowed ISIS, Iran, and other terrorists to thrive.
We learned that when America retreats, chaos often follows. When we neglect our friends, resentment builds. And when we partner with our enemies, they advance.
Pompeo said that all changed as the Trump administration pushed to decimate ISIS, confront Iran, and stand up to Syria's President Assad.
The good news is this: the age of self-inflicted American shame is over, and so are the policies that produce so much needless suffering. Now comes the real new beginning.
Part of that new beginning is forging a global alliance against Iran.
One of your themes of the trip is about Iran and the danger to the Middle East. Do you see nations aligning up with the United States against the influence of Iran?
So our team has done good work. We built an enormous coalition that ranges from Asia to North Africa, certainly to the Middle East, countries from all across the world, understanding that the threat from the Islamic Republic of Iran is real and continuing and ought not to be tolerated.
Another issue is in Syria, as Turkey's President Erdogan is threatening U.S. allies.
A few hours ago, you met with leaders in Erbil about the Kurds, and yet there's dangerous talk coming out of Turkey. What's your message to Erdogan if he goes ahead and invades the Kurds?
Well, our message is straightforward. The work that the Kurdish forces did with us alongside in Syria has been important. It took down a caliphate, 99% of the real estate that was held by ISIS. We remember people sitting in cages being burned. It seems like a long time ago, but frankly, it's the good work that the United States did with a big coalition. And we'll work with the Turks to make sure that there's security for them as well, and that the Kurdish people in Syria are indeed protected.
What about the Christians in the region? They have an appeal that they won't be eradicated, that Christianity won't be eradicated. What's your message to those Christians?
That America is with them. Christianity is at the heart of the history of this place here in the Middle East. All you got to do is grab a Bible and read the places and the names. Christians have been central to the Middle East. We want to make sure that they continue to have opportunities and freedom, and for Christian churches to grow alongside churches of other faiths as well. Our message is simple, is that we stand for religious freedom every place American diplomacy is at work.
Secretary Pompeo told us he wanted to pass along a simple but powerful message, that the United States stands for religious freedom every place American diplomacy is at work. There could not have been a better place to deliver it. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Cairo.
And you can see more of our exclusive coverage of the events in the Middle East and Israel on Jerusalem Dateline. That is tonight at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, you may blame some of your health problems on your genetics, but recent research suggests you can turn some of your genes off and on, and that can be very helpful for your own health. We're going to have the story when we come back. Stay with us.
God Almighty is a God of blessing. He always wants to bless His people. But how do you get that blessing? And what principles will unlock that secret?
In Miraculous Blessings, Pat Robertson shows you how to open the floodgates of God's awesome blessings in your life.
In order to have a blessing, you've got to be blessable.
Discover what the Bible has to say about God's covenant of blessing, the laws of blessing, and what are the hindrances to the blessings of God.
The words of Jesus, they are as valid as the law of gravity, and if we follow those laws, we will be blessed.
You'll see amazing true stories of everyday people whose lives were rescued and transformed by God's miraculous blessings.
But even the doctors acknowledged that this had to be a miracle.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or visit CBN.com to become a CBN partner and get miraculous blessings today.
Hello, I'm Terry Mewson. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Scientists have been studying the field of epigenetics for the last 5 to 10 years. One of their key discoveries is that we can turn certain genes on and off. What's more, these changes can be passed down through generations. That is something we read about in the Bible. Here's Lori Johnson with the story now.
Like millions of Americans, Ashley Skidmore joined the trend of taking at-home DNA tests.
All of my friends were doing just the ancestry test, and I just decided on a whim to throw in the health section.
The results indicated Ashley inherited a gene that often leads to lung disease.
I took the results to my doctor, and my doctor was very alarmed by the results, and I had no idea what it even was.
The good news, thanks to the new science of epigenetics, there's hope for Ashley and others.
DNA is not our destiny, because even if we inherited some genes we'd rather not have, epigenetics tells us we can turn them off.
In his book, Change Your Genes, Change Your Life, Dr. Kenneth Pelletier says we control our genes, not the other way around.
How we live our lives and how we influence the expression of our genes, that's what's critical. So it gives us the responsibility and gives us the power to influence our life direction.
He says bad genes are activated by bad behavior. In Ashley's case, smoking turns on her problem gene.
That's what makes the gene express itself. But if you know you have it, then you can not smoke and you'll avoid the consequences.
It gives me hope that I can silence it. But if I were a smoker, it's basically my life expectancy is 50 years old.
Epi means on top of. Our epigenome is like flexible software on top of our genome, which is like fixed hardware. Our behavior controls the epigenome, which in turn controls the genes.
We are, in effect, a programmable computer. That's how we were made.
Equally fascinating, researcher Dr. Randy Jertle proved epigenetic changes don't just stop with us. For better or worse, these gene manipulators can actually be passed down to future generations, backing up the biblical warning written thousands of years ago.
You can see that, in effect, what God, I think, was telling us is that since they're not totally erased necessarily from generation to generation as they go through the egg and the sperm, can literally give rise to problems in the next generation, and the following out the 4 and 5 generations.
When Dr. Jertle fed healthy nutrients to pregnant mice, which carried a gene for obesity and jaundice, her offspring were born thin and brown.
There are these transgenerational changes that take place.
Dr. Pelletier believes similar scenarios play out in human beings.
So the good news, if you make a healthy change, it'll be transmitted through your generations. If you make an unhealthy change, it will also influence subsequent generations. I mean, this is a whole fascinating new technology.
So while we can't control the genetic hand we're dealt, the new science of epigenetics tells us we can control how these genes behave in ourselves and our offspring.
Still ahead, we're going behind the scenes of a new movie out today, and its lead character is a dog. We're going to bring you a look at the film and a family-friendly review right after this. Stay with us.
Parents, the Superbook Bible app is a great way to get your child reading the Bible because in today's busy world, we can use some help. The free Superbook Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos, discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
We had 4 jobs that didn't go right, but we didn't waver in our faith.
That's when God put on my heart that we needed to do the well.
Within a couple of days, we got an insurance refund check that we had no idea was coming.
And here we are, this year, it's just boom.
You go out and help other people and you get rewarded for it.
Get Pat Robertson's latest teaching, Miraculous Blessings.
In the new movie, A Dog's Way Home, Bella makes a 400-mile journey home after being separated from her owner. We begin our look at the movie with the dog who plays Bella and the voice behind Bella's story.
I'm Bryce Dallas Howard, and I am the voice of Bella in the new movie, A Dog's Way Home. This is the story of the extraordinary lengths a dog will go to in order to get back to their family. Of course, the dog who played Bella would have to be a rescue. We discovered Shelby at a shelter in Tennessee where she had been living in a junkyard. Immediately, you could tell that Shelby was going to take us on an amazing journey. She's incredibly spirited, affectionate, and bright. We found our Bella, and she had no idea how much her life was going to change. Since filming, she's become a therapy dog and knows this is her new purpose, to take care of people and to make them feel loved. There's one thing I know about the world. It's not the little things that matter. It's the tiny things.
Oh, do you want a tiny piece of cheese?
Yes, yes! Cheese is my life! My name is Bella, and this is how I met Lucas.
She does seem to really like you. Maybe that's a sign her home's supposed to be with me. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom! We played ball, and we played Don't Choose Shoes.
Bella, don't choose shoes.
That one was his favorite. Over the years, we did everything together.
Good girl.
We chased squirrels. We went to work. We even played a game called Doctor.
Doctor! Dr. Gann. Hey, Dr. Gann. Everything all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life with Lucas was the best, but when he wasn't around, I missed him so much. It's that squirrel again. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel! Bella!
There's a dog. It looks like she needs help. I can't tell where the journey will end.
I was very far from home, but I knew Lucas was waiting for me, and I had to go and find him.
So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm...
Oh, look, a snack! Even better than a tiny piece of cheese. We all face things that are hard. The only thing that gets us through it are the special people in our lives, and I was never going to stop searching until I found mine.
That dog saved his life.
I didn't know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. Didn't know I was lost.
And now here's a family-friendly look at A Dog's Way Home from our friends at Focus on the Families Plugged In Online.
Oh, do you want a tiny piece of cheese?
Yes, yes, cheese is my life.
In the movie A Dog's Way Home, a mixed breed stray named Bella is found by an animal rescue volunteer named Lucas. Their connection is instant and it's perfect. Lucas is playful and loving and gives Bella the home she longs for. Everything isn't perfect, however. There's an animal control officer who classifies her as a pit bull, a breed that's locally illegal to own. So Lucas has no other choice but to send his beloved dog to a friend's house in another state for a while. But Bella dearly misses her Lucas. She misses his smell and his fun human games. She misses get the ball and don't choose shoes.
Bella, don't choose shoes.
That one was his favorite.
And she can't stop thinking about the game Go Home that they used to play whenever danger was nearby. So there's really no other choice. Bella has got to go home. It doesn't matter that mountains and wild beasts and hundreds of miles are between here and there. She just has to go. This sweet wilderness trek told through the voice of Bella is fun and it's involving. And it encourages kids to think about a pet's perspective, while underscoring the bonds of family and the need to get along with others. Now, there is some peril that kids will need to sit through, and there's some human relationship choices that parents may want to talk about. Still, I'll give A Dog's Way Home a 3.5 out of 5 for family friendliness. For an in-depth review of this film or anything else at your local box office, visit us at pluggedin.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Bob Waliszewski for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
And A Dog's Way Home is in theaters starting today. Coming up, 2 famous Christian figures in the news as sports superstar Tim Tebow pops the question to a former Miss Universe. And actor Chris Pratt says he's following a diet that's found in the Bible. We're going to have both of those stories. When we come back, stay with us.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. My husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now. It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
Tim Tebow is engaged. The former NFL quarterback popped the question to Demi-Leigh Nell Peters at his family's farm near Jacksonville, Florida. The couple announced the news on Instagram. Tebow wrote in his post, "Thank you for saying yes and making me the happiest man in the world." Tebow also wrote, "Demi-Leigh is the love of his life and he cannot wait to spend the rest of his life with her." She was Miss South Africa before winning Miss Universe in 2017. She wrote in her Instagram post, "Any dreams I've ever had, you've exceeded them all." She also told Tebow in her post that she loved him and couldn't wait to spend forever with him. Congratulations to both of them. Hollywood superstar Chris Pratt isn't shy about his faith, and now he's making headlines for going on the Daniel fast. People.com reports he's hoping to lose weight and connect to his faith during that fast. He said in an Instagram story it also coincides with the Lego Movie 2 junkets and joked he might be hallucinating, so stay tuned. The Daniel fast, by the way, is specifically laid out in the Bible, in the book of Daniel. It includes eating fruit, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, beans, and drinking lots of water. Many Christians do it for their health and as a way to draw closer to God. Right now, time for your Friday Faithful, and I leave you with this thought as we wrap this week. God is as close as you want him to be. You simply have to make room to see him, hear him, and feel him. In the words of singer and songwriter Jonathan McReynolds, whatever is in the way of God's presence, move it over and make room for him. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Thank you so much for watching. I want to remind you that you can always find more on the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And of course, you can watch CBN News programs anytime throughout the day at the CBN News channel. Plus, we'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, on Twitter, as well as Instagram. Hope you'll make today a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend. Once again, we thank you so much for watching. Remember, the news continues 24/7 at cbnnews.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll see you right back here, same time on Monday. Goodbye and God bless.